Hi everyone, my name is Jeff Starr and I'm going to put together a stoner or drone metal pedal board tonight. So I made a recent video about drone metal and stoner metal. Sometimes I've even heard it called tone metal. This is a genre of music that's relatively new to me, but I'm enjoying quite a bit and I want to experiment more with. I want to sort of play more sort of music like this, try to live in that space. So I pulled out the pedals that I think are most sort of applicable to building that type of board. Now, I had just recently put my current board together, which is this. And there's a video about this, and I really like this pedal board. This came out of really wanting to put together a stereo rig with a wet-dry mix so that I could have, I have a delay on here, I have the Moog MF delay. I really wanted to make this all in one channel. I was also using the new Octopussy Octafuzz by Catlin Bread, and so it was sort of I want to make a board to use those. Now the question is though, if I want to make sort of a drone board, or stoner board, or whatever, what I'm going to take off, what I'm going to keep. Let's get to it. Alright, so there are a couple pedals that I think are sort of like must-haves for this board, sort of the whole reason I'm sort of inspired to put this together. I want to get the Electro-Harmonix Freeze on this board. I need to figure out what type of fuzz I'm going to use. I have three fuzzes that I will be choosing between. There's the Roger Mayer Axis fuzz. This is the TC version. This is my favorite fuzz that I own. Favorite of everything I've tried as well. It's sort of a fuzz face style, but I think it's a little bit more articulate and dynamic. Then I have the Roger Mayer Voodoo 1, which is on this board currently. This is nice because it has stereo outputs. This is a darker, heavier fuzz. This has also been a lot of fun. And then of course I have a Russian Big Muff. This is from the 90s or something. I bought this new at the time, and I even had the little wooden box until maybe few years ago, well maybe 5 years ago or something, and making space and said, well, I don't use this box. And I tossed it. There's a bug in here. Of course, now I realize that this is going for some money. Wish I'd kept the box. Oh, in terms of, I will probably want to have a wah pedal on here. I like wah a lot. I have the Crybaby Mini, and I have the Buddy Guy wah on my board currently. I always seem to come back to this. I have actually a vintage Morley. The vintage Morley, I don't want to point, you can't see it. It's over there. It's silver. I'll show you. This, it weighs like 1,000 pounds. But I probably won't use that. Anyways, might go with this though, because this is still a really great wah pedal. I do like this quite a bit if I'm trying to save space. And I do want to keep it in stereo, which means that I have a couple options. I have the Electro-Harmonix ring thing. This would be nice for doing some digital pitch shifting down and other weird sort of sounds that might be fun. This has a stereo out as well. The Roger Mayer has a stereo out. And then this Line 6 FM4. I like this a lot. This is their filter modulator. I've used this for a long time, but it's big. But it's synthy, and I don't know if I want those tones or not. Although some of the more sort of like swirly sounds might be fun to play with. Alright, I'm going to start taking this apart, and then I'm going to play with some possible layouts and possible ideas. Another thing is that there is a massive thunderstorm outside. You probably can't hear it, but it is pouring rain, and earlier there was crazy lightning, which I took as a good sign for metal. Okay. Alright, so I think I've come up with a layout here, and I'll sort of talk through this. It's not all fully wired together, but I'm sort of thinking out loud as I go through this process. First things first, for the fuzz, I decided to go with this Roger Mayer Voodoo 1, really because I was trying to figure out where to put the stereo split, and just where I was putting my fuzz was a really good spot, and I could fit this and sort of everything else on the board. So just sort of out of convenience, this won out. I was really trying to get the Big Muff in there because, I don't know, I just felt like this was such a classic pedal, really dark and heavy, but it just didn't fit. This is sort of funny, this pedal too, because the input and the output are on the opposite sides, which just makes cabling just a little more annoying. But I liked that this does still take a battery. Come on out, come on, come on. You can do it, you can do it, come on, there you go. It takes a battery, which saved me one of my cords for my power supply I wouldn't necessarily need. When I say this takes a battery, I mean it does not take a 9-volt like lead like this. There's no spot to plug that in, so this has to run off battery. You can get a little type of thing that's this type of clip and then goes into your power supply, so you could sort of do that type of thing, but I don't want to deal with that right now. I have one of those, but it's hooked up to my other pedal, and I had to route a special hole for it, so I'm just going to leave that alone. Next sort of thing here is I decided I was going to keep this 4-button foot switch. This is for I have a Mustang 3 amp here. It has built-in effects. I have a bunch of presets on that amp that I like. So I can use this to turn on phasers, reverse delays, but this is convenient because it gives me isolated effects on one amp exclusively, which is kind of nice, which will lead to a couple points in a moment. Let's talk signal path. I'm going into the Octafuzz, the Octopussy Octafuzz, into the mini wah, and the mini wah goes into the Roger Mayer Voodoo 1. This is where I then split into 2 signals. For amp 1, it will go to then the Moog MF delay and straight to the amp. So this is just, wah, fuzz, and delay in 1 amp. For the second half, so it would go Octafuzz, wah, Roger Mayer, and then it goes into the freeze, and then after the freeze I have the Moog flange, which I generally keep on a very slow setting. So what would happen here is in this amp, let's say I've clicked this on and I've got a strong heavy drone going through. This can sweep through and modify that, but while I'm still playing, you will get some bleed through on that other amp of the other sounds. So that amp's tone will still compete, but I'll have the drone just only in 1 amp. Now, I could turn up the effect level all the way, essentially making that just wet only on this side. Get rid of this flange and use this amp's flange. Or I can leave this and have this going, let's say, into my Super Champ, and have the delay side going over here to the Mustang and get different flanging sounds going on. Different, maybe this is flanging, that's doing a phaser, I don't know. Also, I can stack delays, so I could have the delay here, and then this might be going to the Mustang, and I could be stacking the delay on top of that, giving me some additional sort of textures. Obviously, I can turn this off, maybe have just the Mustangs, a bunch of textured delays. It's got its own phaser thing going on. This side, I have turned off the flange and the freeze, and that's now, just like a lead channel. This Octafuzz, will I keep it or use it? I don't know. It's sort of stuck right on the end here. I might put it after the wah. I might take it out of the signal completely, or I might put it much later in the signal. The only problem with that is that this would then be driving into it, and this is a pedal that's very sensitive to input signal. So this would be kind of not optimal to have it later in the chain. It really wants to be first in the chain. I'll also probably use this Moog expression pedal. I'll probably set that up with the delay to control the feedback and the number of repeats happening on the delay. So in theory, this sounds pretty good, but I have to sort of, finish wiring it up and see actually what it sounds like. Things that I'm sort of bummed on. Well, I really wanted to use the big muff. I actually at one point thought maybe I could use 2 fuzzes, and it would have been really nice to have done a stereo split and use these 2, one in the left channel and one on the right channel. Now I do have a chorus pedal, Dan Electro. It's an older pedal, but it's really nice. It's got a lot of headroom. You can run it at 18 volts. I was thinking maybe pulling that out of my pedal shelf and using that. If I was to put that first or early in the chain, let's say, I could then split my signal, keep the chorus really mellow, but that would have to give me some space on both channels, and maybe put 1 fuzz on each side. As I'm sort of talking about that now, it sounds like a cool idea. So maybe I'll go grab that, and I'll come back and I'll play with that some more, and let's see what happens. Alright, I set it up that way. Now there was a couple things I had to sort of sacrifice. Now I'm trying to keep it to be this size pedal board. This is a Pedal Train Junior. I'm trying to keep it simple. All right, let's talk about this. So sacrifices. I don't have a spot for a wah, and this is hard for me. I really like using a wah pedal to sort of make my sound more vocal and make it sort of bloom and sort of, I bend notes and sort of do a slow sweep. I don't know, maybe a wah is something that goes on the floor. I don't know. Let's talk through the signal chain. Into the Danelectro Cool Cat. It's all metal. They made some later versions that were, I think, a little cheaper construction, but this is actually really solidly built. Boy, it's probably around 98, 99 I got this pedal. It's a very cold chorus, though. Perhaps that's why they named it Cool Cat. So hopefully the fuzzes will warm this up quite a bit. The other thing with this pedal is that it is, like I said before, it runs at 18 volts, so you either need two 9-volt batteries, or you can get a power supply brick like this, which I can plug in, except this doesn't, I can't fit it in here. So I'm gonna have to run this into like a, power strip over there. It's home studio, so that's probably fine. Here, into the Roger Mayer, into the delay, and into an amp. Chorus, into the big muff, into the freeze, into an amp, and then that amp will be the Mustang, and I'll use those effects to layer flanges and phasers on top of the freeze and big muff sound. So one side will be sort of psychedelically swirly, and the other side will be delay. I kept this because it's a sort of more articulate fuzz. That'll be sort of my lead side, and then the other side, these will be sort of like a droney, heavier side. I really want to plug this in, finish wiring it up, see how that sounds. Probably use this Moog expression pedal on the floor next to the board to control feedback on the Moog delay. I'm kind of excited, but I'm also not sure if it's totally perfect for me. Let's find out. But here's what I've learned since then. I did one tiny little bit of playing. I'm not using any of the built-in effects on the Mustang like I thought I would. So that strip along the bottom to control that 4-button foot switch, I don't really need that. So I could take that off, and that would leave me some space, probably maybe readjust. Maybe I can get a wah in there. Maybe I go back and I do add the flanger or some other stuff. I don't know, but that frees up some space on the board. The next thing is I was talking about how the power supply to the Danelectro Chorus, let's see if we can see it here. I can't, there we go. It's this big wall wart, which I don't have a 18 volt thing off my power supply. I just never ordered the cable for that. And this, of course, is a big thing to plug in. Well, I forgot that I have these. These are super awesome. You can get these on Amazon or probably anywhere else, but it's just like a mini extension cord. And this is great because you plug it in here. Oh, look at this. And now this side can just go into your thing you need to plug in, and the giant, wall wart thing hangs off the bottom. So I can actually plug this into the isolated power on my pedal board with a little bit more ease. These are also great, like just if you got a bunch of things to plug in with your stereo system or whatever, and you can't fit them all on a power strip. Just buy a pack of these. It hangs off like a bunch of octopus arms, but it's awesome. I'm going to play my Reverend baritone. Great guitar, seems sort of fitting for the genre. In terms of what effects I have turned on, I got the chorus on. It's sort of a mid setting, not too fast, not too the effects not too high, just enough to sort of give me a spread. The fuzzes are just enough to make their sound sort of be their sound, so you can hear their separation in the two channels. I'm not really using the expression pedal on the delay. I just found a nice setting on the delay, and I'm leaving it there. I don't really need the expression pedal to sort of make that funnier or crazier or whatever, so I probably would take that off. And the freeze I am using in the latch mode, so that when I click that on to hit a tone to make it sort of drone throughout the whole piece, it just stays on. Okay. I'm going to shut up now and play. Oh my God. Okay. Hopefully that was interesting, fun, cool. I liked trying out those different boards. This ended up being a lot more exciting to play with than I thought. It sounds really big in the room. I hope that translates into the recording. Wow, it sounds very epic. I'm waiting for someone to complain about the volume. But yes, this was very fun for me. Hopefully fun for you. If you like this, please check out other videos on my channel. Like, comment, subscribe, all that standard stuff. I'm over on Patreon, and a huge thank you to everyone who's already supporting me over there. All right, thanks so much. I'm going to shut up. This has been fun. Okay.